So this is the reason. Okay, so now question number 4. What was the main reason for the battle of Mahabharata?
It's because wait, actually,
To establish the
to establish Dharma. He said.
Yes,
He said to establish Dharma.
yes, yes. Mahir, your internet connection is very poor, not audible properly. Yes, the main reason for Mahabharata was to establish Dharma, yes. And any other answers? Shrey? No? So actually the main reason for the war of Mahabharata was actually the attachment of Dhritarashtra towards his son Duryodhan. Duryodhan's evil-mindedness and his supporting of irreligion. Yes, this was only the main reason for the battle of Mahabharata. The all the impediments that Duryodhan had given to the Pandavas, because of that Mahabharata happened, and therefore, in order to establish dharma and remove adharma, this war of Mahabharata took place. So your answer was perfect, Mahir. That in order to eradicate irreligion, but you have to also justify it. How? By the attachment of Dhritarashtra, by the evil-mindedness of Duryodhana, and the pain that they gave to the Pandavas. Therefore, in order to establish dharma and remove adharma, this battle of Mahabharata took place. Okay. Now, this is an easy one. Why is Dhritarashtra being referred to as blind by heart?
Because he only cared for his sons and nothing else.
He only
Yes.
cares for his sons, plus he knows they're doing bad stuff that they shouldn't be doing, and he lets them.
Yes, this is the complete answer. You have to write that he was blind by heart because although he was blind by eyes, but also by heart because he was bereft of spiritual vision. He was materially conditioned and attached to his son Duryodhan. Even after knowing what is right and what is wrong, he still supported Duryodhan, and therefore he's called blind by heart. Okay, this is the complete answer. Then we go to the next one. Why did Dhritarashtra inquire? What did they do in Bhagavad?
Because he was worried if they would be like, oh, okay, let's make peace, and
Yes.
because it was on a battlefield of Dharma sector.
Yes, they will make a compromise. Yes, they will make a compromise on the battlefield. Yes, absolutely correct. And one more reason. This is of 2 marks. You gave one reason, that he was fearful that they will make a compromise. So what did he want? He wanted that the war takes place and his sons win, and the sons of Pandu, the Pandavas, they all die in the battle, and his own sons get the throne. First reason, that they don't make a compromise and the war happens so that my sons get the throne and the Pandavas die. Then the second reason, tell me, what was the reason of his inquiry? Mahir, Sahir, David, are you able to hear?
Yes.
Would you like to guess the second reason? No? Okay. So we'll read it from the purport. What is the second reason? See. Okay. From here. In his doubt, he inquired from his secretary Sanjaya, what did they do? He was confident that both his sons and the sons of his younger brother Pandu were assembled in that field of Kurukshetra for a determined engagement of the war. Still, his inquiry is significant. He did not want a compromise between the cousins and the brothers, and he wanted to be sure of the fate of his sons on the battlefield. This means that he did not want them to make a compromise, and he wanted that his sons win, and he wanted to be sure of the fate of his sons on the battlefield. This is number 1. Now see, number 2 is this. Because the battle was arranged to be fought at Kurukshetra, which is mentioned Elsewhere in the Vedas is a place of worship, even for the denizens of heaven. Dhritarashtra became very fearful about the influence of the holy place on the outcome of the battle. Now, from where, what are we saying? He is blind by heart because he knew what was right and wrong. Duryodhan did not knew what was right and wrong. He was just madly supporting the wrong. But Dhritarashtra knew what was right, what was wrong. Still, he supported the wrong. So therefore, it is written that Dhritarashtra knew that is Kurukshetra is Dharmakshetra. He knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knew that being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was on the Pandavas side. And wherever there is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there will always be victory. And he also knew that Pandavas are very pious, they're always victorious, and this is the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is a Dharma Kshetra, even worshipable for the denizens of heaven. And it will certainly have an influence on the people who are supporting Dharma. And he also knew that my sons are supporting Adharma, and therefore he was fearful. And therefore he inquired what happened. This is the second reason. That even after knowing everything, even after knowing that this Kurukshetra is Dharma Kshetra, Dhritarashtra became very fearful about the influence of the holy place on the outcome of the battle. He knew very well that this would influence Arjuna and the sons of Pandu favorably because by nature they were all virtuous. Sanjaya was a student of Vyasa, and therefore, by the mercy of Vyasa, Sanjaya was able to envision the battlefield of Kurukshetra, a live telecast, even while he was in the room of Dhritarashtra. And so Dhritarashtra asked him about the situation of the battlefield. This is the answer of our question. I hope this is now clear. Yes. So, these are the 2 points that you'll mention here if this question comes. Now we come to question number 7. Why did Duryodhan approach Dronacharya before the battle had begun? Okay, we had many classes.
Because
Yes, you can tell.
he knew that Dronacharya favored the Pandavas more than he did him and the Kauravas. So he
Yes.
wanted to make sure he fought with the full might instead of with half or none. He didn't put effort in it. Make sure you put effort.
Yes, correct. Right answer. So we'll once read it also so that we can know exactly what we have to write. Okay. See, slowly and slowly we'll reach there. I'm just speaking the purport so that you can all fit it in your heads before appearing for the examination. So, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. So, our question was that why did Duryodhan approach Dronacharya before the battle had begun? This is of 2 marks. So, Arpan told one that Dronacharya was by heart from the side of the Pandavas. So, he wanted him to fight with full vigor and not, be very casual in the fight so that they lost. So, he did not want to lose the battle. So, he did not want Dronacharya to be casual in his in fighting the battle. He wanted him to fight with full vigor. This is one reason. What is the second reason?
He was scared after seeing the.
Yes.
Can you?
Yes, right.
He
This
was
is
scared after seeing the military formation.
yes, correct. This is the second reason. That he was scared. He was fearful after seeing the military formation of the Pandavas. See here.
Wasn't there something about King Drupad's son?
Yes.
Wasn't there something else about King Drupad's son?
King
Because it was said by King Drupad's son, the military formation. Am I right?
No, and he Dushyadim he was born to kill Dronacharya too.
Yes. Which king are you talking about, Shrey? I did not get the name.
King Drupad?
Yes, so basically the second reason that Sahir told that he was fearful after seeing the military arrangement, that military arrangement was actually set by Drishtadyumna, who was the son of Drupad. Now Drupad had enmity with Dronacharya. we heard the whole story. I am not repeating the whole story, otherwise the whole class will go. So now we heard that whole story, and then we heard that Drupat did a yagya, and then from that yagya, Drishtadyumna came, and the motive of that yagya was to kill Dronacharya. And therefore, Drishtadyumna took birth to kill Dronacharya. And Drishtadyumna was a student of whom? Drishtadyumna
Uh,
was a student.
Dronacharya.
Yes, Drishtadyumna was Dronacharya's student, and Dronacharya knew that Drishtadyumna is taking training from me, but in the future he will kill me. Yes, so therefore Duryodhan was scared that, and he was saying to his, this is the next question actually, he was saying to Duryodhan that, see, you are so foolish. You have accepted someone as your student whom you know will kill you in the future. You have taught him the ways to kill you. Yes, you have only taught him the ways to kill you. You are so foolish. Why did he say this? Because he was fearful. Seeing the military formation by the sons of Pandu, he was fearful. This is the reason. This is the complete answer. So see, Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereft of spiritual vision. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion. And he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with the Pandavas, who were all pious since birth. See, Dhritarashtra, even see, one case is that you don't know what is right and wrong, and you're supporting wrong. But worst cases, you know what is right, you know what is wrong, and you choose to support the wrong. This is more worst. You choose to support the wrong. So this is Dhritarashtra. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind, and he was sure that they could never reach with an understanding with the Pandavas, who were very pious since birth. Still, he was doubtful about the influence of the place of pilgrimage, and Sanjay could understand his motive in asking about the situation on the battlefield. Sanjaya wanted to therefore encourage the despondent king, and thus assured him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of the holy place. Sanjaya therefore informed the king that his son Duryodhan, after seeing the military force the Pandavas, at once went to the commander-in-chief Dronacharya to inform him the real position. Although Duryodhan is mentioned as the king, he still had to go to the commander on account of the seriousness of the situation. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician. But Duryodhan's diplomatic veneer could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military arrangement. Why? Chalo, this is the next question, but I'm asking it right now. Why? I'll also show you the question that I've put here. Oh, this is the next. Yes. How can we say that Duryodhan was quite fit to be a politician? See, this is right from this purport. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician. So the question is that why was he called to be quite fit to be a politician?
because he was the king, he still went to like the other authorities to confirm or like change, like help, and he had to make all the decisions by himself.
Yes, this is one answer. You can give more justification to this. You have to write this one word. If you don't write this one word, then marks will be cut. Now, what is that one word? What is the nature of politicians?
To follow the law. I don't know.
To follow law, but do they follow law?
I mean, no.
So what is the nature of politicians? They will tell you that I will do this for you. We will do this for the country, this for the country, this. They were
It
glamorized.
says diplomatic veneer.
Yes,
But
diplomatic. This is the word. He was diplomatic. Something inside, something outside. They will tell you, we will build houses for the beggars. We will remove all the garbage on the roads. We will do this, we will do that, especially in India. So, but what happens when they get to power? Nothing. They're enjoying on their corrupted seats. They're enjoying their position and power. This is called diplomacy, diplomatic. They will tell something, do something else. So same as Duryodhan. What is he saying to Dronacharya? Oh, Acharya, oh, my dear teacher, you are so learned. Please understand that see the military under inside what is happening inside Duryodhana is feeling, you stupid person, you have taught your enemy the ways to kill you. You have accepted as a student the enemy, the person who will kill you in the future. So actually, outside he is showing that he is approaching the Dronacharya and encouraging him to fight. But inside, what is there of Duryodhana? He is fearful. He is fearful seeing Krishna. He is fearful seeing Pandavas. He is fearful seeing the military formation. So this is the diplomatic behavior that Duryodhana is showing here. I hope this is now clear to everyone. Yes. Was Duryodhan fearful seeing the military formation of the Pandavas? I hope this is done. We'll move on to the next question. What did he, okay, now tell me this. What did he do to attend his fear? He was fearful, we know. But what did he do to attend his fear? Shrey, would you like to answer this?
He tried to get Dronacharya to fight at full vigor.
Yes. Now it will have, just write 2 more sentences to this. This is half sentence that you've written. What did he say to Dronacharya? Write everything. What did he say?
That his own student is
He said-
using his own information against him.
Yes. And then he said that although by heart you're from the side of the Pandavas, but you have to fight with full vigor. Yes, because you're from our side. And see your student. And then ahead also he said many things. Do you know what did he say? He said, see on the side of the Pandavas, Bhima, Arjuna, Yudhishthir, all of them are there. See this person, this warrior. There's so many warriors that he counted. So many warriors from the side of the Pandavas. Then he counted so many warriors from the side of the Kauravas. Why did he do so? He wanted to tell Dronacharya that don't underestimate the power of the Pandavas. If you underestimate them, then you will not fight with full vigor. See, so many of them are there. But he did not want to make him very low also. So to keep his spirits high, to keep the spirits high of Dronacharya, he said, don't worry, we also have many people. We have Kripacharya, we have Bhishma Dev, we have Karna, we have myself also. I am also expert warrior. I am also there with you. So he counted many warriors. So all of these things he did to attain his fear. He went to Dronacharya and he spoke many things. 3-pointer ka
Is
answer.
this
Yes.
is this test going to be an open book test?
Yes.
Are we allowed to use our books during the test?
No, you're not using a book
Mm.
student. Otherwise, what will be the purpose of the test? So you have 1 week. So you can try to learn some points. And I am telling you that most questions will be from these 25 questions that I found. This is the
Also, while you can take your notes now, also while we're discussing.
yeah. I'll also share the recording. You can hear it once and then properly take down notes afterwards also if you want. Or right now also. So see, if this question comes for 3 marks, then you first is you're writing that from the heart he was from the Pandava side. You wanted him to fight with full vigor. Second, you're writing that he was fearful seeing the military formation and therefore he said that your student, you accepted him as your student, Drishtadyumna, who will kill you. Third thing you will write is he counted many warriors from the side of the Pandavas to tell that don't underestimate the power, and from the side of the Kauravas also to keep his spirits high. Okay. Now, question 11. What words did Duryodhan speak to Dronacharya before the battle was to start and why? See now, you don't have to miss this and why. This is very important. If this question comes for 4 marks, this will hold 2 marks. What words did Duryodhan speak? You have to write 2 points. Point 1, point 2. And why? This holds 2 marks. So you don't have to skip this and why. Two more you have to write. See, I will tell you the way you can write your questions, your answers. 1 second. Usually, this is the way I used to write in my school examinations. So, see, you have to write here, for example, your answer one. So, you have to write, for example, if this is of, for example, I'm telling you, if it's for 3 marks. So 2 marks are for the main question and 1 mark is and why. So you have to write 1 point that whatever you write that Duryodhan approached Dronacharya for because he was fearful. This is one. You have to elaborate. I'm just telling you in shortcuts how you have to write. Second point, you will write that he counted the warriors. Then you have to elaborate this point. Counted the warriors. Third point, you will write that what that student he accepted Drishtadyumna as a student. So this is, if this is for 3 marks, then you have to write 3 points like this. And if this is for 2 marks and 1 mark is for the and why, then you can write any 2 points. You can delete this. You can write any 2 points, and then you have to write down the 1 point like this. You can put a bullet, and then you have to answer why did he say, because he was fearful or whatever the question says. So this is how you have to present your answers. It will be more clear to me. Yes. So we are done with this. We're done with this. Okay, now question 12. Why did Duryodhan approach Dronacharya? Okay. Why did Duryodhan approach Dronacharya and not any other person from his army? This is also an easy one. You can try answering. Mahir, Devin, you both have not answered.
I mean, he was the guru of both Pandavas and Kauravas, and so he was approached obviously. So he fights in full force and doesn't hesitate, right? That's what we discussed earlier. And also, he's a very powerful warrior as well, so his strength means a lot.
Yes. And he approached, yes, both reasons are correct. Mahir, you
And and Duryodhan was knowing that Dronacharya was knowing all the disabilities and abilities of Pandavas, most likely because he was more about him.
yes. So very nice, beautiful answers you've given. I also did not even think that these points could have become the answer. I had only 1 point in my mind, but you gave me 2 more points to think.
Maybe because he was like trained in the formations and he knew all of them, almost all of them.
Yes. 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 So Duryodhan actually approached Dronacharya. He did not approach Karna because everyone else were enemies of the Pandavas. But Dronacharya was a devotee. He was from this side of the Pandavas. So therefore he did not want him to become casual because of the soft heart that he held for the Pandavas. He wanted him to fight with full vigor and not support the Pandavas and become lenient during the war. And then second point, as Devin, Mahir and Arpan also mentioned, that he was very expert in warriorship and he mattered a lot in the army. Do you know what is being said for Mahabharata? That all the army of the Pandavas versus Bhishma and Drona, these two personalities, Dronacharya and Bhishma Dev. Dronacharya and Bhishma Dev together can defeat all the demigods. All the Pandavas army was like ants in front of them. They could defeat it alone, all the demigods, all the army. Alone they could easily defeat. It was nothing in front of them. But why did they still lose the battle was wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Krishna, there is always victory. Wherever there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Dharma, there will always be victory of Dharma and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So wherever there is Krishna, there will always be victory. So Dronacharya was a very powerful personality. Yes, very nice. Question number 13. Justify the title of chapter 1, Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra.
Well, all it was them observing each other.
Well, so Sanjay was having a vision, and he was telling Dhritarashtra about how the formation, or about how what they were doing, and then Duryodhan and Pandavas, they were looking at each other, talking about the formation they each have. So
They
they
were
were observing.
Yes.
they were assessing each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yes. So all of these 3 points that you have said are the three points that you have to mention in the answer. What Shrey said, that all of them were observing each other. Then you have to write when. So right here that all of them were observing each other means that when Duryodhan approached Dronacharya, he was observing the Pandavas, the warriors on the side of the Pandavas, the warriors on the side of the Kauravas. Then, as Sahir said, they were assessing each other's weaknesses, each other's strength. Then, as Arpan said, that Sanjay had live telecast. He was foreseeing what was happening on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and explaining that to Dhritarashtra. So, yes, all of these points. Correct. Now, question number 14. Why did Duryodhan count great warriors from the side of the Pandavas? We have discussed.
To
Yes.
explain to Dracharya the sufficiency of the other side, not to underestimate their power.
Yes, perfect. Now, why did Duryodhan count great warriors from the side of the Kauravas?
He wanted to make himself feel better, that
Yes.
they could still.
Yes.
But yeah,
One marker, so 1 point is enough. So, who blew the conch shell first to initiate the war?
Bhishma.
What was the motive behind it?
To give confidence to Duryodhana that they can win. That he's 100%.
I think so. It's a
I want to give
significant.
confidence to
We
his
are
side.
ready to fight.
Yes, to give confidence is what Shrey said, and Devin said. Mahir, what did you say?
It was like we are ready to fight signal. Right.
Yes. So now, what was the motive behind it? Holds 2 marks. One you gave to signal that now the war is starting. Simple. He will first blow his conch shell to initiate the war, to indicate that the war is starting. Second point is to give confidence, but to give confidence to whom?
Duryodhana.
Okay. Yes, this is the correct answer. That he wanted to give confidence to Duryodhan. Now we'll see it from the purport. I think I have to move ahead. Okay. Okay. We have covered all of this. See, some question can come from here also. Why is it said there are many heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake? So to read the translation and purpose very carefully. Because when you have to write in this answer that when Duryodhan was approaching Dronacharya, so he said when he was assessing the warriors from the side of the Pandavas and Kauravas, he told that there are many people who are also on the side of the Kauravas who are ready to lay down their lives for my sake because of their deep friendship with Duryodhan. But this actually means that they will actually lay down their lives for Duryodhan because they were on the side of Adharma. So this means that they will actually die in the battlefield of Kurukshetra because of supporting Adharma. But this line is spoken by Duryodhan when he approached Dronacharya while assessing the military of his own, while assessing the military strength of the Kauravas. So he said that there are many people from the side of the Kauravas, from my side, who are ready to lay down their lives for my sake. And why did he say this? To give solace to Dronacharya that don't worry, we also have a good amount of people to fight, to keep his spirits high. Okay. You have to read all of these 25 purports and translation, then you can prepare good for the test. See here, okay. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhan joy. This is very important. Why did he do it? To give Duryodhan joy. Because Duryodhan was feeling very fearful that what will happen. Bhishma is from the side of the Pandavas, from his heart. Drona is from the side of the Pandavas, from his heart. Now we will lose the battle. So in order to give confidence and joy to Duryodhan, he blew the conch shell. He did not want to blow the conch shell because he was very eager to fight the battle. No, he never wanted to fight the battle because he was from the side of Krishna. But just to give Duryodhan, tum shant ho jao. Just relax. Just be patient. Don't eat my head. Therefore, to give him confidence and joy, he blew the conch shell. So the grandsire of the Kuru dynasty could understand the inner meaning of the heart of his grandson Duryodhan. And out of his natural compassion for him, he tried to cheer him, in order to cheer him by blowing the conch shell very loudly. Because he knew his heart, befitting his position as a lion. Indirectly, the symbolism of the conch shell, he informed his depressed grandson. See, here Duryodhana is referred to as a depressed grandson, that he had no chance of victory in the battle. Okay, so indirectly, see, what is he trying to tell indirectly? Although he is blowing the conch shell to give him confidence, but indirectly he's saying, I am blowing the conch shell, but you foolish person, you should know that in front of you there is Supreme Personality of Godhead. You can never win the battle. There is no chance of victory. So this is actually the motive, inner motive, indirect motive of Bhishma. Because the Supreme Personality of Krishna was on the other side. But still it was his duty to conduct the fight and no pains would be spared in that connection. So this is the two reasons that you can say. Three reasons. First, Mahir said to initiate the war. Second, as Devin and Shrey said, that to give confidence, joy, cheer up the depressed Duryodhan because he knew his heart. The third thing that you can write is that indirectly he blew the conch shell because indirectly he wanted to tell Duryodhan that he could never win the war. There is no chance of victory because Krishna is on the other side. Okay. What was the name of Lord's conch shell?
Panchajanya.
Yes, Panchajanya, Rishikesha, Devadattam, Dhananjaya. You can remember all the conch shells' names.
Yeah.
Why is Krishna being referred to as Rishikesha?
He is
Sure of this.
supreme.
Yes, David?
Sure of senses.
Controller of the senses, yes.
That's what it was, yeah.
But you have to write good answer, two-liner answer for this. What will you?
Because as like he's above mind and everything, he can control his senses. Unlike, but we can't. Because
Yes.
that's why like he's supreme.
Yes,
No.
correct. Yes. Devin, you want to say something?
Also not affected by them.
Yes, so he is above the three modes, as you both said, not affected by them. He is the controller and the master of all senses. We can only monitor our senses, but Lord can monitor everyone's senses, so he is Rishikesha. This is the perfect answer. We'll read it from the purport also, so that you know exactly what to write. Okay, let me find. Rishikesha. I think it was before. I skipped it somewhere. Let me find it once. If you also see, then you can tell me to stop there. Yes, here, okay. So see, Lord Krishna is referred to as Rishikesha in this verse because he is the owner of all senses. The living entities are part and parcel of him, and therefore the senses of the living entities are also part and parcel of his senses, of Krishna's senses. Okay. The Lord, now see from here, the Lord situated in the hearts of all living entities directs their senses. But he directs in terms of the surrender of the living entity. And in the case of a pure devotee, he directly controls the senses. Here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Lord directly controls the transcendental senses of Arjuna, and thus his particular name is given to being Rishikesha. This is the complete answer that you will write. That he is the master of all, he is above the three modes, he controls everyone's senses, but he is sitting in our hearts as the super soul, as the Paramatma, and he is directing our senses in terms of our surrender to Lord. He does not interfere in our free will. If we will say, Krishna, I don't want you. Krishna, I don't know who you are. I don't want to worship you. I don't want to chant your name. I don't want to read Bhagavad Gita. What is all of this? Then Krishna will say, okay, whatever you say. He will not say, hey, you've forgotten me. It's good if you remember me. It's good for you. He will not force you. Chant, chant, chant. Read. No, you cannot do anything else. No. You have to read. You have to chant. He will not force you ever. Because if he will force you, you will become robots. Robots don't have choice of their own. They're just controlled. Krishna never controls anyone. Yes. So when you say, Krishna, I am yours, you are mine, I want to serve you, I want to chant your name, I want to read Bhagavad Gita, then he will say, oh, now he is looking towards me. I am sitting here with him. Whole life, he is looking outside. I want to do this, I want to enjoy this, I want to go there, I want to enjoy there. Now finally he is turning towards me and seeing me. Then he directs you. Otherwise, he does not interfere in your free will ever. He does not make you he does not ever want to make you a robot. He wants when you yourself will come up to Krishna, Krishna, I want to serve you. Then Krishna will say, come, I was waiting for this. For so long, I was waiting for this. So then he will embrace you. So he will not control you to make you robot, but he will control you when you surrender to him. He will control your surrender. And one who has fully surrendered unto Krishna, the pure devotee, then his whole senses Krishna controls. Right? His whole senses. So this is the answer of this question. Therefore, he's called Rishikesha. Question number 19. We'll stretch for 10-15 more minutes more so we can complete this practice test at least today. So why was Duryodhan, okay, now question number 19 is, why was Duryodhan fearing whereas the Pandavas cheering when the tumultuous sounds were made on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? Duryodhan was fearing, but Arjun was standing with erect chest. Yes.
Because Krishna was on their side.
Sahib?
Okay.
Because Krishna was on their side.
Krishna was on their side. Now give 2 more justifications and sentences to this.
The conch shells, they blew it with more confidence and not overpowered the opposing side. And also they were on the side of Dharma, and so in their hearts they felt more morally justified, which caused them to have more self-confidence.
Yes. Right. So you all have to prepare nicely. Otherwise, Devin will score full in this test also. Yes. So, yes, perfect answer, as he said, that in their hearts, they were from the side of Dharma. And whoever is from the side of Dharma and whoever has taken the shelter of Lord and surrendered fully to Lord from their hearts, they will always be fearless. This line you have to write. That whoever has taken shelter of Lord, whoever is from the side of Dharma, their hearts will be fearless. And therefore the Pandavas were standing with erect chest. But whoever is from the side of Adharma, I also told you, right? Whenever you lie, and whenever that lie is being caught, what happens in the heart? Thug, 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 thug. It starts to pounce very fastly. Yes. So therefore, he was fearing because his heart was weak. And why was he was having a weak heart? Because he was always doing misdeeds. He was always doing evil deeds because of favoring irreligion or adharma. He was always breaking the 4 pillars of dharma, doing sin always. Therefore, his heart was very weak. But because the Pandavas had taken shelter of Lord, They were very confident, fearless, totally. Yes. So this is the answer of this question. Question number 20. What was the significance of the flag marked with Hanuman on the top of Arjuna's chariot?
I think it showed that Hanuman was also in a battle with them as
Yes.
well. Although he present, his strength was on their side.
And also,
Yeah,
Also, it
because the chariot driver can only move the chariot back, forth, left, right to dodge the arrow. But he said that he'll watch the top.
Yes. Nice. Both answers. Yes, Sahir, you are also saying something?
that's what I was gonna say.
Okay, you were also saying to move up and down. Yes, right. Both points should be mentioned. Now, what was the reason of Arjuna asking Krishna to draw the chariot in the midst of both armies? What were the two reasons you have to mention at any cost?
Because he
First,
wanted to
he
get a good look at his
was
enemies and
the
see who was
strength,
worthy of facing him.
One
and
second. One second. First, you say once again. I did not catch what you said.
He wanted to see who was on the other army and who was worthy of facing him.
Yes. Right. This is first one. Mahi.
I was going to say that he wanted to look the strength of both the armies. So he told Krishna that I want to see, and he was like afraid that on the other side his great grandfather, cousins, guru, and that all were there. So how can he fight?
Yes, but that was the see that second part that you said will come in question number 25. But the first
Okay.
part that you said that he wanted to assess the strengths and the weaknesses of the other side, that we will write here. But after that, what happens to him, that we'll write later. But here in the question, it's only asked that why did he say? So as you said correctly, that he wanted to assess the strength of the other side. And as Shrey also said, that he wanted to see. The first point is that he wanted to see who all are mentioned, who all are assembled from the side of the Kauravas. He wanted to see that, oh Krishna, park my car between both the armies. I want to see who all have assembled to fight. Why does he want to see who all have assembled to fight? He wants to see who all are mad people supporting Adharma, supporting Duryodhan, here to lay down their lives for him and to die in the battlefield. This is number one. He wants to see who all are assembled to fight. Number two, he wants to see, as Shrey said, who all are capable to fight with me. I want to select who all are capable to fight with me. See, I will show you exactly where he asks this. See, Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. So this is very important. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. So he wants to see who all have come to please and to support Adharma. And second is that he wants to see with whom I must contend. I also want to see who all are capable to fight with me. So these are the two reasons that you have to remember. Now, do you know what does Durbuddhe mean? So now this is a Sanskrit word. Here you will get stuck. Even after I know that you know the answer. But because of this, you can get stuck. So if you don't know some words which come in the test, you can unmute and ask me also then, so I can help you. But if someone knows this, maybe Mahir, you can try guessing.
Like it's a bad mind,
Yes, so you answer the question.
dirty mind.
Yes. So why is Duryodhan referred to as Durbuddhi?
Because he was doing the bad stuff. I like all the time adharma and
Yes. Yes, correct. So Durbuddhir is evil-minded. Dur is evil Buddhi is mind. So Durbuddhi means evil-minded. So see here. In this verse, see, योत्स्यमानमवेक्ष्यहं य एत्यत्र समागतः धार्तराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धेर् युद्धे प्रियचिकीर्षव. So it is written Dhartarashtra Durbuddhe, the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Why is he called evil-minded? Because Arjuna says this, because from the very beginning, Duryodhana has only supported adharma, the side of irreligion. And even after knowing that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in front of him, he is desiring to fight the battle. And he is personally inviting death for himself and all the friends that are there to support him and to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. They are also personally inviting death for themselves to lay down their lives in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So that is why he is called Durbuddhi, evil-minded. Okay. Last three questions. Why is Arjun referred to as Gudakesha? 1 marker. 1 point.
Because he was sleeping.
Yes?
Oh, the master of sleep. Master of sleep.
Yes, correct. Now, why is Arjun called as the descendant of Bharata?
His birth was the righteous king who, on the Pandava lineage, used to own like the land and the kingdom.
Yes, perfect.
For that fighter.
Yes, perfect. Why is Arjun referred to as Partha?
That was his name.
Yes, that was his name, but why was this his name?
Krishna is called
Because
that.
Krishna call him Parth.
Krishna, why does Krishna call him Partha? I had given this in the bingo worksheet
Yeah, so it was a good occasion.
because the mother's name is Pritha and the son's name is Partha after the name of the mother.
That's what is the name of the son of son of Kunti?
Yes, son of Kunti.
That was
Yes. There was one question, this thing, the one box. Yes, Kunti's one more name is Pritha. And therefore the son of Pritha is called Partha. Okay. This is an important question. Very important. Why is Krishna referred as Achyuta?
Because he was infallible and victory was always assured with him.
Yes. So you have given 2 points. So now you have said he was infallible and victory was always assured. Now don't write this that he was infallible and victory was always assured. Don't like that. Write like this. Right? Point 1, he was infallible. He is infallible. Now you have to explain this properly. That he is infallible because he is above the 3 modes. He is never under karma. He comes in this material world also because of his free will. Whatever he is, even as a driver of Arjun's chariot on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he is the supreme personality of Godhead who can never fall under the 3 modes of material nature, never under karma. He is always above that, monitoring everyone's senses, and he is always Achyuta, infallible. Number 1. Then, as you said, number 2, victory is always with him because he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Wherever the supreme personality of Godhead will be, there will be dharma and victory always. So these are the 2 points. So you have to write 1 explicitly that, number 2 explicitly that. This is the perfect answer. Otherwise, without explanation, some marks will be deducted. Although you know it, but just write everything that you know. Okay, that's why he's called Achyuta. 1 second, I'll just refer here also. Gudakesha is here, Achyuta. Let me see, I think it should be here somewhere. Yeah, it should be here. So I will read this. Although Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, he was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is referred herein as infallible. This is also one reason that you can write. That he is a supreme God. He does not have to do anything, but still he is always serving his devotees, those devotees who are always serving the Lord. So therefore, his natural affection for his devotees never fails in any condition and circumstances, and therefore he is referred to as infallible. Then, as charioteer, he had to carry out the orders of Arjuna, and since he did not hesitate to do so, he is addressed as infallible. Although he had accepted the position of a charioteer of his pure devotee Arjuna, his supreme position was not challenged. Even as a driver, he was a supreme personality of Godhead. In all circumstances, he is the supreme personality of Godhead, Rishikesha, the Lord of the senses, and therefore he is also called Achyuta. So these are some things, some points that you can write. And then try to read the whole purport. You will get many other points also to mention. What was the last question? What was the purpose of the Lord saying, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here? Very important again.
Maybe he was talking about like how to wait and look at the all the crew assembled here. Look maybe look at the fear they have because of him.
Yes. This can be one
So
point, but
Krishna drove him specifically to his master Dronacharya and people that he hesitated to fight against. So Krishna wanted him to deal with his like internal conflict head on by facing them directly.
yes, this is the perfect answer. That Krishna could take the chariot in front of Duryodhana, Karna, but Krishna deliberately took the chariot in front of Bhishma and Dronacharya, his teacher and his grandfather, deliberately. Why? Because he wanted to give us this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is Rishikesha. He knows the heart and mind of everyone. Therefore, he knew the heart of Arjuna. He is very confident and fearless. But because of the arrangement of Krishna, there is some not fear, you can say. He was not fearful because he was bewildered. Devotee cannot be bewildered, but he was portraying our condition in our lives. We are bewildered in our lives. We are confused about the purpose of our life. So Arjuna was depicting our condition. He was not bewildered, but he was depicting our condition so that Krishna could give the science of Bhagavad Gita so that we can receive and read it like we are doing today. So that is why he said, just behold Partha, because he knew the mind of Arjuna. He did not want to fight the battle. Because seeing Dronacharya and Bhishma Dev, that I cannot fight with my grandfather and my teacher. Therefore, Lord says that just behold all the Kurus assembled here. Because Lord did not expect this from Arjuna. Lord expected that he will fight like a lion. But still, because of the bewilderment arranged by Krishna only, he says this line, shloka number 25. I am going there. Last shloka. Just 2 minutes more I'll take. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. As the super soul of all living entities, Lord Krishna could understand what was going on in the mind of Arjuna. The use of the word Rishikesha in this connection indicates that he knew everything. And the word Partha means the son of Pritha or Kunti, is also similarly significant in reference to Arjuna. As a friend, he wanted to inform Arjuna that because Arjuna was the son of Pritha, of Kunti, he had agreed to be the charioteer of Arjuna. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjuna to behold the Kurus? Did Arjuna want to stop there and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt Pritha. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by the Lord in friendly joking, that just behold, all the Kurus assembled here. So, like friendly joking, because Krishna knew the heart and mind of Arjuna. That is why he spoke this line. I hope all of these questions are clear. I think first 2 or 3, 4 questions are not covered in this recording. I had started the recording after 2, 3 questions. So if you have any doubt in the first 2, 3, 4 questions, when you go through this practice test, then you can always message me anytime. I will surely answer you the answers. So just go through all these questions, whatever you don't understand, whatever points you don't get, especially in the first 3, 4 questions, because it will not be in the recording. Just send me a message and I will send you the voice note of the answer. You can practice that answer at home. Go through the purports, go through the translations, and you will be ready for the test, which will be next Saturday. So, yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Please practice thoroughly all these 25 shlokas. Yes, we will meet next Saturday when we will be having our test. Yes, Prabhuji, you to add something. You're on mute.
I'm saying thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Get ready for the test for the next Saturday. So we officially will complete 25 sloka that way from Bhagavad Gita. Okay, let's say thank to Vrinda Mataji by saying Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you.
Thank you so much.